Hello, and welcome to Simple English Podcast. This podcast helps you improve your English through clear, natural conversations about everyday topics. In today's episode, we are talking about travel and transportation, a very useful topic in daily life. People talk about travel when they go to work, visit family, take a trip, or move around the city, so learning how to speak about transportation in English will help you feel more confident in many situations. I'm Alex, and I'm here with Jamie. Hi, Jamie. How are you today?
Hi, Alex. I'm doing well, thank you. I really like this topic because everyone uses transportation in some way every day.
That's true. Let's start with a simple question that many people ask. Jamie, how do you usually travel during the week?
I usually travel by bus. I take the bus to work in the morning and back home in the evening. Sometimes, if the weather is nice, I walk part of the way. How about you, Alex?
I usually drive to work. My office is far from my home, so driving is the easiest option for me. Sometimes there is a lot of traffic, but it's still faster than public transport for my situation. This is a very common conversation. People often talk about how they travel, and they use simple phrases like, I take the bus, I drive, I walk, or I ride a bike. You don't need complicated grammar to explain this.
Exactly. Another common question is, how long does it take? For example, how long does it take to get to work?
Right? So, Jamie, how long does your trip usually take?
It usually takes about 30 minutes. If there is traffic, or if I miss the bus, it can take longer.
That's another useful point. When talking about transportation, people often talk about time. They say things like, it takes 20 minutes, or it takes about an hour. This is very common in everyday English.
Yes, and people also talk about problems with transportation. For example, delays, traffic, or crowded buses and trains. These are normal topics in small talk. Alex, do you ever talk about traffic at work?
All the time. Many people say things like, there was a lot of traffic today, or the train was late, or the bus was very crowded. These sentences are simple but very natural.
That's true. Now, let's talk about public transportation. In many cities, people use buses, trains, subways, or trams.
So, Jamie, do you like using public transportation?
It depends. I like it because I don't have to drive and I can listen to music or read, but sometimes it's crowded, especially in the morning.
That's a very balanced answer. Learners should know they can say, I like it because, or I don't like it because, to give simple reasons.
Right. So, Alex, what about you? Do you like public transport?
I use it sometimes, and I think it's convenient in the city, but I prefer driving when I need flexibility.
Again, very natural. Now let's talk about traveling longer distances, like going to another city or country. People often ask, how are you traveling? Or are you going by plane or by train?
So on that note, Jamie, when you travel to another city, what do you usually use?
If the city is close, I usually go by train. If it's far, I take a plane. Trains are comfortable, and I like looking out the window.
That's a great example. Common phrases here are go by train, go by plane, go by car, or take a flight. These phrases are very useful.
Yes, and people often talk about preferences. For example, I prefer traveling by train, or I like flying, or I don't like long drives. Simple opinions make conversations more interesting.
Let's also talk about travel plans. When people travel, they often talk about future plans. They say things like, I'm going to travel next month, or I plan to visit another country.
So, Alex, do you have any travel plans in the future?
Yes, I do. I'm going to visit another city next month. I plan to go by train and stay for a few days.
That sounds nice. Again, notice the simple future forms like I'm going to and I plan to. These are very useful and easy to use.
Now let's talk about common travel situations. For example, going to the airport or train station. People often say, I need to catch my train, or I'm waiting for my flight. These sentences are very common.
Yes, and people also talk about arriving. They say, I arrived late, or I arrived on time, or my flight was delayed. All of these are useful phrases.
Let's also talk about asking for directions, which is connected to transportation. People might ask, how do I get there? Or, is there a bus nearby? Jamie, have you ever asked for directions in English?
Yes, many times. I usually say, excuse me, how can I get to the station? People understand this very well.
That's a great example. Simple, polite questions are perfect. Now let's do a short thinking and speaking practice. Imagine someone asks you, how do you usually get to work or school? Take a moment and think about your answer. You can say it out loud. Try to use I usually take or I usually go by. Now imagine someone asks, how long does it take? You can answer with a simple time, like it takes 20 minutes. Great job. Let's also talk about common mistakes. Some learners say, I go with bus, but in English we say, I go by bus, or I take the bus. Another mistake is saying, I take my car to go, but it sounds more natural to say, I drive, or I go by car. These small changes make your English sound more natural.
That's very important. Another useful topic is transportation and weather. For example, if it rains, I take the bus, or if the weather is nice, I walk. These simple conditional sentences are very common, and learners don't need to worry about grammar names. Just using the pattern is enough.
Exactly. Now let's review some useful phrases from today's episode. I take the bus. I drive to work. It takes 30 minutes. There is a lot of traffic. I prefer traveling by train. I'm going to visit another city. These are all phrases you can use in real life. Now, take one last moment and answer this question out loud. How do you usually travel during the week? And another question, how do you like to travel when you go on a trip?
Excellent. Remember, the goal is not to be perfect, but to communicate clearly. Practicing these simple conversations will help you feel more comfortable speaking English in everyday situations.
Thank you for listening to Simple English Podcast. In the next episode, we will talk about shopping and buying things, another very useful topic for daily life. Keep practicing, keep listening, and see you next time.